Hello, we are using the Frogotter education system, and today we are doing E002 Time Snail, and my special guest is
a monkey. Oh no, yep, you said that.
Okay, the Time Snail. I'm going to spin it around so you can see the Time Snail a bit better. Okay, the Time Snail.
What have I done with your eyes?
Settle down. The Time Snail represents the history of the world.
Or spiraling.
Well, it is a spiral.
Spiraling.
The earliest part is in the centre of the snail shell, and as the spiral goes outwards, we get closer and closer to modern times.
The coronavirus lockdown.
Okay, we know the least about things that happened a really long time ago. So the spiral is smallest here, and it can seem as though events from a long time ago are compressed together because we talk about things in millions of years when they're a very long time ago, and thousands of years, and then hundreds of years. But when we get to modern times, you and I can remember what happened yesterday. So we know more detail, so the spiral gets bigger and fatter as we get closer and closer to modern times.
But then, in the future, it gets smaller again.
Well,
because we know nothing about the future.
The snail will keep growing and
But
add more
snail
bits.
shells don't grow.
Well, they must do. Baby snails have tiny shells. Of course snail shells grow. Okay, right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take one finger and I'm going to trace the path from the centre of the shell to the end, and I'm going to name the events as I do it, okay?
Big Bang, Big Bang.
I'm going to do it. So it's the Big Bang, it's the beginnings of life, it's the dinosaurs, it's the Stone Age, it's agriculture, the ancient Egyptians, the Celts in Britain, the ancient Greeks, the Iron Age in Britain, the Romans, the beginnings of Christianity, the Vikings, the Normans, Henry VIII, Elizabeth I, the English Civil War, the colonisation of America, the French Revolution, the invention of the steam train, the invention of the car, the invention of the aeroplane, the First World War, the Roaring Twenties, the Second World War, Hiroshima, Queen Elizabeth II, Neil Armstrong landing on the moon, the invention of the space shuttle, the invention of the World Wide Web, the coronavirus lockdown, and today, when we are reading a Time Snail. What we're going to do now is I'd like you to put your finger in the middle, and I'd like you to trace it and see if you
The
can
Big Bang.
Oh, I was going to say the things, and I just want you to point at the pictures. You ready? So the beginnings of life.
The
Amoebas is what you're trying to say, I think. Dinosaurs. Stone Age. Agriculture. The ancient Egyptians. The Celts in Britain.
Weird art. Jars.
The ancient Greeks. The Iron Age in Britain.
Weapons.
The Romans.
People in cloaks.
The birth of Christianity.
The death of Christ.
The Vikings.
The pouncing longships.
The Normans.
The people with telescopes.
Henry VIII.
Definitely Henry VIII.
Elizabeth I.
The Queen.
The English Civil War.
The dumb roundheads versus the awesome cavaliers. The colonisation of crazy America.
Colonisation of the Americas. The French Revolution.
Weird type of invention.
The invention of the steam train.
The invention of the train.
The invention of the car.
The invention of the automobile.
The invention of the aeroplane.
The Wright brothers.
World War One.
The invention of the poppy.
It was not the invention of the poppy. People planted poppies to commemorate the dead.
The invention of ergot.
The Roaring Twenties.
The invention of warplanes.
World War Two.
The invention of explosions.
Hiroshima.
The invention of
Queen Elizabeth II.
The invention of astronauts.
Neil Armstrong landing on the moon.
The invention of Dracula having the invention of elephants.
The invention of space shuttle.
The invention of massive spiders.
The World Wide Web.
The coronavirus when it finally leaves those fruit bats.
and the coronavirus lockdown,
And
today, when we are reading a Time Snail.
And the end of the world.
Okay. Now, what I suggest
Why
we do
did they not
now
have eyes?
is talk about some of the events of the
I
Time
mean,
Snail.
hey, I'm used to that.
So, can you find anything that happened after the Normans? What happened after the Normans?
Henry VIII.
Very good. Can you find anything that happened before Vikings?
Big Bang.
The Big Bang is before Vikings. Well done.
So is the Romans.
Now it's your turn. You ask me a before or after.
You need to find something before dinosaurs.
The beginnings of life before
And
dinosaurs.
jellyfish. And sea cucumbers, I think.
They're not on the Time Snail, but yes, there's lots of things that happened and are not
And
on the Time
turtles.
Snail. Turtles, yes.
Before the invention of poppies.
That isn't the invention of poppies, it's because poppies were planted. Poppies are used to commemorate the dead, the people who died in World War One, and now the people who died in World War Two as well, but they began being used after World War One. But before World War One, loads of things happened. The French Revolution happened before World War One. So I think you're getting the idea that as we go into the spiral, we're looking at before. As we come out of the spiral, we're looking at after.
After the future is right there. Because we know nothing about the future, it gets smaller again.
Thank you for joining us. I hope that we'll see you again.